Welcome back to the Qt Developer, or Qt Developer, where we discuss C++ programming and Qt framework. Today, we're going to look at the QSet. Sets are actually pretty neat. I use them for storing groups of data, the keys, but no need for the value. So let's go ahead and actually create something. So I need to add my QSet. I also need to include the QDebug. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to define a QSet. And it's template based, but today I'm going to use strings. And let's call it a set. Again, real creative. But let's insert flowers or bushes. So I'll add a rose bush. Next one, I'll add a lilac. There we go. Then next, I will add, that didn't work out for me. Too fast. There. And one extra there. Now, let's go ahead and add one more. Let's add a lily. Okay, terrific. Now, what I'd like to do is another way that we can insert into the set or append to the set is with a technique we used before, we will use again in all of these containers within Qt, is the ability to use the insertion sunflower. There we go. So this little symbol right here will take everything to the right and push it into the container. And I'll add one more, and that, let's say, an azalea. And I'll add one more for good luck, an iris. Nice. So I now have how many items? 6. So if I want to check to see if anything's within the set, I can actually use the contains method. So if I do set.contains and then pass it, let's say I want to check if it has roses in it. Well, I can do that. And I'll make a QDebug statement that outputs I have found roses. There. So, let's go ahead and see it work. Let's see it in action. Oh. It didn't find roses. You know why? Because I spelled it wrong. I need to be roses. I forgot the S. Now let's see. Does it work? There it is. Beautiful. It found roses. That's neat. Did you catch that bug? Were you able to spot what I didn't do? Please leave a comment. Let me know. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do a comparison. So let's create a new string, a new Q string, and I'm going to call it test. I'll make a capital T. There, test. Now I'm going to use, did I do that wrong? Oh, I did. I forgot to give it a variable name. There, equals. See, too much talking, not enough typing. Give myself a little extra room, a little extra space. Now what I'd like to do is I'm going to create a comparison. So I'm going to make this a const. I'll use auto, so that way everything's kind of compressed and I have to come up with a big long declaration. And I'll call it temp compare. And, did I spell that? Yes, I spelled that right. And in my temp compare, what I'm going to need to do is I need to actually pass it str test, because this is going to be a lambda. And the next method, or the next parameter, I will pass a constant Q string, which would have to be a reference to the string. And now, in between the body, I'm going to return s.compare. Okay, that's correct. So I'm going to return the comparison. Whoops, didn't spell right. A comparison between S and my str test. There. And I want it to be, I want it to be case insensitive. Insensitive. Nice. And I want to check if it's equal to 0. Now I did something wrong here. What did I do? Oh, you know what I forgot? I think I forgot the equal sign. There we go. There. Again, did you catch me? I did something else wrong. I forgot my semicolon. There. Beautiful. Now. Okay, terrific. So now what I'm going to do is now I need to iterate through the set to check to see if it actually exists. So let's go ahead and create a new set of QString, which would be an iterator, and let's call it IT. And in this case, I'm going to use a standard library, and I'm going to do a find if. In this way, it'll check if it's there, but I need to actually iterate through it. So I need to set the beginning. So I start at the beginning. Then I need to set the end. So it goes all the way to the end. And then I'm going to pass compare. Oh, temp compare. There we go. Beautiful. Now I need to check the iterator. So if I check if IT is not equal to the set.end, I will now do a qdebug and output if it found the item. There it is. Wonderful. Now, what do you think the chances are of this working? Make sure I did everything correctly. So if I do test and I run this, it found the roses, but it didn't find what was in the iterator. But what if I pass it, let's say, whoops, too much copying. What if I passed it the azalea? What do you think's going to happen? Do you think it's going to find it? No, it didn't find it. Did I do something wrong? Let's see. Okay, now I'll try it again. There it is. Found azalea. Did you see that? Did you see the little bug? I hope you did. You would have been pointing at me and saying, "Oh my goodness, Mr. QT developer, you mistyped. Didn't work." But I can't hear you. So please leave a comment in the comments. So now moving forward, this is pretty handy. These are pretty neat to have. This find if, maybe I'll do a video on that. That's a good one. This line right here, this is a beautiful line. I like that line. This one right here, that's another beautiful line. Right there. Let's go ahead and zoom out a little bit. There we are. Get it all in. Look at that. That line, that's a beautiful line right there. Qt C++. So much fun. Now, I'll go ahead and comment out this debug. I'll also comment out this debug. So we have more space down here. Okay, moving on. Now, let's take a look at the actual iterators that we can use. So I can use Java style. So let's see what it looks like with a Java style iterator. All right, Java style iterator to traverse through the list. So I need a QSet iterator, and these are pretty handy with Qt C++. So, and let's call it I, and I'm going to pass it the set. Then I need to actually traverse through the set. So while I dot next, or it should be actually has next. There we are. So to go through every single node until it runs out of items. So I'll create my string, and I like to use variables so I can always come back and debug and test. Now let's take a look and name this Java iterator, and then output, say whoops a lot, don't I? I want to output this str0. Too many that. There we go. Now let's see. This is the Java style editor, or iterator. Beautiful. Outputs. That's neat. Now, if I want to take a look at another iterator style, the standard template library, I'll call that STL style iterator. This can be used with a for loop. So I could use the auto keyword, set I equal to the set begin, and I then want to set the end to what? Set dot the end, and I want this to be constant. There we go. I then want to take I and check it against the end, and then increment I. There. Now, if I were to do a qdebug, to the STL iterator, and look at I need to dereference I. Whoops, darn it. There. I want to dereference I. Let's see what happens. Beautiful. I did that wrong. STL. So we have the Java and we have the STL. Now, let's do one more. Can you guess what the next one will be? It'll be a range-based iterator. And these are pretty neat. So, range-based iterator. There. Now for these, check this out. So if I do this, which will be a const auto, I'm going to pass it, or I'm going to create the value as a reference, and I'm going to loop through the set. Okay. Now something important that just popped up, that yellow marker. So if I do qdebug and I output range loop iterator and the value. Now go ahead and I'll comment out these other two. Because for right now, we're just going to focus on this range-based iterator. Because there's something important to look at. There it is. Now it worked. But look at this error right here. It's not an error, but it's a warning. And it talks about the range loop and the detachment from the Qt container. What in the world does that mean? Well, when you get really close and you dig into the code of the QSet, it actually may make a copy. And so what it's complaining about is the violation of possibly making that copy. So there's a couple of ways around it. But the best way is to use a nifty little feature in Qt. So it's going to be called Q as const. And I want to wrap my data, my container, in that Q as const, which will basically alleviate the problem that I just mentioned. So now, if I run this again, there it is. And the warnings are gone. But this little feature right here, Q as const, that's pretty handy. That's a nice feature. So I hope you enjoyed today's video on QSets. Please leave your thoughts and opinions and any comments, any future videos, and anything you'd like that I could do to possibly improve. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day.